Lunatic Awesome! Escape the age!
Boo-hoo. Alright. I cleaned my apartment. This is honestly one of the toughest fights I have ever fought in my entire life. And I must say I will stop listening to Chris Webby for some time because, I mean, if he's dealing with anxiety and depression and I'm listening to him constantly, then I'll have to deal with it as well because, that's just what he's probably transforming with his vibe. And during, sometimes it really helped me to push through, but I have to say that I feel a lot of anxiety and at times really paranoia. And today it was already a challenge to leave the house, to go shopping, and I honestly don't know why. Like, I'm always asking myself, where is this stuff coming from? And I'm starting to believe that I'm actually a very sensitive child inside a man. The outer shell looks like a man, but inside there's a child, and I'm asking myself if everybody's like this, or if there is a certain group of people who are like, children. Until now, I haven't found anyone that does not seem a bit like a child to me. But some children are really aggressive. And to play with them is, close to suicide. And the question is whether or not you want to submit yourself to something like that. And when I am alone in my apartment, I feel good as long as I have certain goods to keep me alive. Such as, you need things to appreciate your life. And for some odd reason, today I felt the need to eat chicken again. And I left the house, and I also have to be open about these things because I felt really bad. I first, because I was feeling like there was something like really stuck. I just couldn't digest it anymore. And so I use an irrigator to flush my colon, which is certainly some kind of yogic practice for fasting. And then I managed, I didn't eat for, it was maybe half a day, but it still felt like an eternity because new ideas and new content is flooding in on a constant basis. And if you, listen closely and you read books like The Autobiography of a Yogi by Yogananda, then you see that he had these, I don't know if you want to call them spasmodic episodes, where books just jerked out of him and he was just confined to his desk for hours where he just had to write. And now ask yourself, if you're in a position like me and there are people that know me, and some people, I don't know, they really want to have time with me, and I feel all this greed and there's so much fear, and I just don't know how to deal with it. And at times, there's a description of different kind of yogis who manage to achieve some kind of peace within themselves. And some of them, they're all different kind of characters. And I'm certainly like a child. I would never just walk into the city center of Johannesburg ever again. Okay, that's how I feel now. But I think for me, I feel like it is wise to remain unaware of some of the threats. Because until now, everything has been avoided. But the thing is, I do feel fear, and I do feel like there are threats, and I do feel like I could never really trust anyone. Now the question is whether or not that is me or that is someone else. And I'm starting to wonder. I always felt like things were a challenge. At the age of 21, I went to study, and I started to buy different glasses. It's good to speak about these things, to remember that there was always fear. It's just, we just have to remember that, I was always afraid, always. And fear also chased me around, and it kept me busy. So is fear something, is it really fear? Or is fear just a word? Because at the moment, I'm really at a loss. Now you hear me sit here and you hear me speak, and I look like, what are you talking about, man? You're super relaxed. Yeah, but on the inside, I feel like I'm about to burst. On the inside, there's so much stuff working, streaming. And it's just wolfed down, the wings and legs of the chicken. Like, and I was wondering, why? Why do I need to eat this? And it says nobody needs anything. I actually felt good when I fasted, but then I collapsed again. And then I bought tobacco. And then I bought this weird stuff, HHC, which I don't know. It's like kind of helping me to draw images. And the question is, do I need to draw these images, or should I rather write a book? But I already wrote, maybe a couple of pages, at least a couple of words. Yeah, it was pages, a couple of 100 words maybe. And it was good. It was a nice session. But then the question is also, when should I stop? And when should I start investing myself into different things? Because at the moment, all I do is I just keep going, and I just focus on writing books. And, I sometimes get messages from people who tell me, don't drink for 28 days and write a book. They say it like, what do you mean? You say don't drink, what does it mean? And then, it sounds like no alcohol. But every time I'm alone, the fear keeps creeping in, and so I use things that push me through it, such as food. Breathing could be a good start. I think I should start doing some form of asanas. There's also fear in terms of love. It's like my emotional space that I have with the woman that I love is being threatened by other women that see me and that want me, because when I go to the boulder hall, I assume they want me, or maybe they think I'm disgusting. But nobody ever says it. People seem more like they actually like me. And some people seem like they can't get enough of me. And then there's people that just want to get rid of me, of course. There's also, it's like, that's also what confuses me. Nobody, actually that's not true. I'm just actually keeping everyone really away. It's like I open myself to a certain degree, and then I just push them out. And then there are people that I meet, and then I'm asking myself, is this a friend? I still want to get away from here. I would like to live somewhere on an island where just nobody can harm me or can turn against me, because I never know to what extent, this going against me, is it just a debate? Or is it something else? Do people need me to hold the space and be relaxed? Because I may look relaxed on the outside, but on the inside I feel way too young to stem any kind of responsibility. And a smirk is creeping in. I have made choices in my life that keep me trapped in this position. So I could do another job, but I've tried that, And once I realized that it wasn't what I wanted, I just came back to this one, and suddenly, a couple of weeks later, I had this apartment. And now I'm alone here. And I don't know how I should live with a woman and a child. Right? Like, is this really my fear, or is this also the fear that other people have that I stand in connection with? Because from my perspective, just looking at my life and the people that are in it, what I can see is that if you look at my actions, there is much more bravery than in most other people. And people think I'm crazy. And I'm starting to understand why, because from their perspective, it just makes no sense what I'm doing. From their perspective, it's like, probably it looks like, suicidal. But it's either that or going back into the depression. So what I'm doing is probably what other people are doing, including, I believe, Chris Webby. It's like pushing through this depression. So there are beings that know how to channel the energy, raise awareness, because why do you think we're like in this kind of a trough? It's like, we're close to rock bottom. We're probably below rock bottom. People think about building a bunker for themselves. And because, if you listen to the news, it's just all war. It's just war and destruction, and then rape and murder. And if you ask people, do I have to be concerned in this city? Do I have to feel threatened for my own life, for the life of my children? Can I let my children wander? Or are they going to be abducted and then raped and then thrown into some corner? And then, I don't know, I ask some people and they say, some people, they make it, it's almost like they make it kind of a joke because they want it to be threatening. And so they say, yeah, it's really terrible here. But what they don't realize is, if they're lying, then my inner child may still believe it, because there is a certain naivete in me. And I meet people that constantly watch movies like thrillers that kind of are supposed to uphold this weird worldview that they have. And that stands in complete opposition to, let's say, people that live in a commune. I'm speaking from a place that's kind of a village, and it's kind of dead. And I certainly know maybe it's the time of the year, because it's dark now. It's like earlier dark. This is October. It's getting earlier dark and all these kind of things. And we just passed Halloween. It's like 2-3 days ago there was Halloween. So I just don't know how to cope in this kind of a society without the things. If I would just fast and just live, I'm not sure if I would leave the house, because this environment is way too fast-paced. I think if I wanted to do a fast and a cleansing, I would probably drive into some hut somewhere and do it there. And, still there I would feel fear because, who knows? I'm just talking about these things because, these feelings are real. That's what I feel. If I would be somewhere alone in the woods now, or even with people, unless we're a big group of people, let's say 100, people that I trust and where I know they want harmony, I probably, wouldn't even feel safe in the house unless it would be, fenced in. So I start to understand people because there is something that I need to protect, and this something may just be this energy that I'm holding just to keep myself alive because, I don't really know what people want to do with me. And maybe I'm just really cheeky about it, right? It's like maybe I'm really cheeky about it. Maybe I'm just acting all afraid. Maybe I'm just acting like I need all these things so people can relate to me. Because if people would think, oh, I think that guy is an enlightened being, what are they gonna do with me? Jesus, did not set a very good example of, if that story is real. Because I certainly see through some of the lies, but lies are very complex. And what I realize, and I realize and realize, most of the lies is the stuff that people tell themselves to make themselves appear like very bad. Of course, there's also people that make themselves appear very good, but I'm not sure where these feelings are coming from. But then again, sometimes you go into some kind of empty building, like a ruin, and you feel like, whoa, it's like goosebumps. And I'm starting to understand a little how to deal with this. And that's why recording myself really helps. Because I can actually talk about what I'm feeling, and I believe anyone could do it if they wanted to. But I also believe not everyone would want to. Some people are okay if they can just hear somebody else talk about their feelings because they have a different occupation. And while it makes sense while I'm saying it, I just need to let this feeling of being a writer really sink in. Because otherwise I will always feel drawn to the outside. Like I have to help people. Like I have to be there for everyone. But I'm already here. Right? And that's then probably where you can quote like stuff Ramdas said, where he, quotes other things. And he says, I don't know, there was this being and everybody liked him, and then he, was like, they said he had cancer, whatever, he was just dying, his body was used up, or maybe he couldn't channel the energy anymore, it was just too much, and then he just died. Because I get it, at one point you just get sick of it. It's like, yeah, now it's getting boring, I'm just gonna leave. But I feel like it's just getting good. But it's never been this good, so how would I know? It's really good. I love my apartment. Whether or not anyone thinks I deserve it, it's still there. And I just did my dishes because there was this fear creeping in of the police storming into here. And then I thought, well, at least if they would, it looks clean. So, and I don't really have illegal things. The things that I have you can buy just in a normal shop, which I believe makes it legal. However, on edge it is. On the edge to legality, whatever legality is. There are rules, I get it. I cannot see how, things like cocaine could help anyone. For some reason, sometimes, if I feel really, really bad, then sometimes smoking something. For me at the moment, I work with this HHC because it's strong. That's why I work with it. Because I deal with an insane amount of anxiety. And that's basically, in conclusion, every time I went to one of these ceremonies where you ingest, like, okay, I'm just gonna say it, it's like, bleh. Should I talk about these things? Yes, I have drunk ayahuasca and I have spoken about it. Certainly spoke about it in Transcendence of Life as We Know It, which is one of my favorite creations. And so is Mirrors, Walls, and Prison. So, why did I do that now? I'm trying to understand when my hand moves and does a gesture. Sometimes I see people doing like this. Is that a lie? Creeping out. So why did I do this now? It's one of my favorite creations. It actually is not. I think I really liked... Okay, I liked it when I was writing it. But I'm not sure, how good it is. I just know that as long as I have no idea, as long as I have new ideas, I will keep doing this. And I have the ideas, and every time I draw art, it's different. Which at least, satisfies people who may be greedy for art. Or maybe greedy for just someone else who's struggling and who want to see how he deals with it. Well, it's most of all, it's just yin and yang, man. You just have to keep the balance, and there's a bit too much. I don't know, maybe the yang is the black. There's a bit too much of it. And I've been now spending a lot of time amongst others, and as much as I like it, I think everybody should be able to give stability to themselves, because once you've got a family, you won't be able to see each other that often anymore. It's just hard for me to understand at the moment how that could ever come into existence. But if I look back, I could have never predicted, what had to happen for me to get my own apartment, because I thought I would just have a breakthrough in my content, sell lots of, books, and then have enough money to rent my own apartment, until I realized I'm not sure I could have done that. Like, literally not sure I could have done that. And that's the crazy part. I think I could have done it, but sometimes it's better if somebody just helps you, to get there, so you can start already. And once you've got the money, you can just start paying the apartment on your own. I think that's, for me, in my situation, that was much better, because whatever I'm dealing with, it is very intense. It's very intense. I mean, just look at, history, stuff about shamans. He's the weird guy that's somewhere alone in the forest, and people don't really understand me because there haven't been any shamans, because they were like taken away. And that's the truth. Anyone, any person of knowledge, any person with a shamanic background, that probably lived it openly. And maybe they're all fairy tales. Maybe it's just trying to explain that people, disconnected from nature. And maybe the shamans just died out because if nobody wants to listen to them, then they'll probably be consumed by spirits. And that's really a problem for me. Always this feeling of, what's real and what isn't. And I think that's just a concept in your own mind. Because what I know is I'm still here, and I'm still keeping myself together. That brings back this image of Soul Eater. Who's ever watched it or wants to just try something with a bit of spice. This guy they keep trapped under the school. I mean, he ate too many souls. And I mean, what does it mean? Okay, he was like being pictured like a murderer or something. His weapon was supposed to eat the souls or something. But the way I see it, if let's say, I purify myself, just we have to be open about this. If I purify myself, I go a lot into nature. I know how to cleanse myself. I do my fasting. I live a kind of like a holy life. Let's just call it like that. I cleanse my mind. If I hear dark thoughts, I just hear them. I work with them. And then I kind of just pass them on. I transcend them. And, I transcend them through my art. I transcend them by speaking about it. Sometimes I transcend them through mantras by just repeating things, actively repeating the words in my mind, such as, just live a quiet life. Just live a quiet life. And what's a quiet life, what's a quiet life? Less party, less fireworks. I mean, less, angry cars and honking. Less people that are just angry for no reason because they don't manage to just, go into nature. Just take off your shoes, man. Put them on the grass. This is just common knowledge, or it should be. And I just want to live a quiet life. I don't want hundreds of people. I just want to do what I do and feel safe. But then the question is that enough for me? Like John Strelicky traveling the world with my family and then writing books. Well, I'm already too public for that. I've already done too much. I like to engage with people. And whatever anxiety I'm feeling may be theirs, but I don't know that. All I know is that there is fear, and it's tough how to deal with it. And if I think of myself in a situation with a woman that's pregnant, or children, then I cannot live this kind of a life anymore, where people are, like really passive aggressive and they push everything onto other people. I just want a quiet life. And I have no idea how to do that because I have been drifting into this kind of a rock and roller lifestyle. We just go nuts. And maybe it's better to just go nuts on the internet. But, this is the Barbarian Lunatic was supposed to free me. And he did. But at the same time, it's a trap. Because if I become the Barbarian Lunatic, and if I just walk around and I sniff out lies, that's all I will get. I will only get lies. Because I assume everybody's lying and I'm not sure why. And maybe it's true, right? Because people say things, but they mean something else. They say I only want the best for you. But what they mean is something completely different. You have to help me because, I'm in deep shit. Whether that's the government that's pushing all these things on us that we're supposed to buy and, sometimes go to great length. I mean, how am I supposed to see certain things that have happened where a lot of people felt forced to accept treatments or something? I was happy I could avoid it at the time because I had parents that could support me in this. But if I would have had children, worked a normal job, I would have been a victim because what else would I have done? I would have just done what everybody else did. And that's just what we have to understand. It's still choice. And that's all I'm probably ever going to say on that, because I've already said the rest. Like, I've really already said the rest. It's already out there. And I cannot just repeat these things. It's my opinion. And it remains to be my opinion. But I also realize that the state exists and we are living in it. So unless we find a way to take our weight off the state and relieve them of it, by simply saying, I will take responsibility for myself, which means I will take responsibility for the way I eat, for the way I live. I can even take responsibility for the way I'm just going to say die, which is, I want to die quietly. I don't want to die in a car crash because that would, traumatize lots of people. That would rip my family apart and my friends. I have seen people that dealt with things like this. It's very, very hard. And so what we need is people that can give emotional support. So some people had to learn in isolation that they are strong and that they can hold themselves. And when people can hold themselves, they can also learn to, hold each other in families. Because if I know how to be stable, then my wife can come and we can have children and we can have, good times with people. And sometimes I just don't understand how these things work. I go to someone, we have a conversation, I talk about topics. Okay, I think that's the problem because what I talk about is fear. And I think I'm helping people with it, but I actually think I scare them with it. And then I'm asking myself, okay, am I doing it? Why am I doing it on purpose? So that you stay away? Or am I doing it because I want to liberate you of your fears, so I just talk about it? Because if you keep telling me, that you're a cocaine smuggler, and when I confront you with what you said, you say, yeah, well, no, I'm just joking. And I was like, why do you say these things then? Because if people keep believing it, the police may knock on your door. I never say anything that I'm not. People think I'm something, but I'm also playing an act. And that's probably what I have to realize, that, why do we always have to scare each other? I'm really looking forward to going to the cinema again, eating popcorn. And at the same time, I feel like I have to take care of my teeth. And I think I just have to do fast, I have to fast occasionally. Like occasionally fast. Do like 1 week of fasting. And every time you feel like there's too much fear, you just fast again. And of course, I work with diet. Lentils, ginger, spices. Now I need a chicken because I felt half dead. Because I've done a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of hiking. I spend time with people, some that I don't know, seem like they live on the streets, and then people that are facing some kind of depression. I am with them, I smoke with them. And because I'm empty, I believe I become some kind of dump for their shit because, they are very aggressive and disrespectful. And I remain kind of friendly. I set boundaries, but I'm like being stabbed with their ignorance, and that hurts. I mean, I've seen what it does if someone just channels their anger into you. It feels like you're being stabbed because I'm a very sensitive child. And we have to see things like X-Men for real. Without wanting to destroy others, how it's then being done in X-Men, but just to accept there are people with certain abilities and we have to take these abilities seriously. I'm constantly thinking of shaving off my beard so that I would look less like a thread. Because my beard is, right, while it gives me the feeling that, it makes me masculine and more of a man, it also attracts male energy. And because it attracts male energy, some may feel threatened by it because male energy may be a threat. It's like it's flowing out of me. I'm some kind of warrior, whatever. but inside I feel like wobbly and vulnerable. And so the question is, maybe I've been spending too much time inside. Maybe I should go hiking more. Face the night, When I'm really afraid, sometimes I go for a night hike. But, I can do this because I believe this area to be safe, It depends on where you live, You have to make these choices. You have to be responsible for what you do. If I get close to someone that's dealing with paranoia, then I have to maintain my boundaries. Because if I keep coming, he may actually threaten me with a knife or put it to me just because he thinks he has to protect himself from me. And that's actually true because I think to get this close to each other, I'd really have to be in love with you, and then I wouldn't want to make love to you, and that's then the woman I want to be with, and that's then, of course, mentality of a warrior. And that's what I'm writing at the moment. I just started. It's an interesting ride. I have been guided to make certain experiences that would make anyone, any mortal man, right? I don't know. I seem to be able to survive these things. And they're strange, really strange, otherworldly experiences that I'm going through, which certainly inspired the book of Fear in the beginning, but certainly inspired the book Letters to the Government. And whether or not that stuff is real, because for me, I'm basically, I'm unable to say whether it's real. And now it says, it's inadequate to compete with someone who keeps, using beer and stuff to keep himself from drowning. So in that sense, I get it why people hate me. Because I need very little to feel good. And some people never feel good until someone comes that shows them how to. Because what a lot of people fail to realize or see is, or acknowledge, is that there are people, like I have discovered certain abilities in myself, and so could you in yourself, Maybe for you it's pottery, right? I would like to do pottery. I would like to do crochet, but at the moment what I'm doing, I channel it all into my content, which are books. I'm trying, or maybe, I'm just saying it now. I actually haven't thought about it. I'm starting to work with riddles again. Doing images on Instagram, YouTube, these things, that's what I do. And I feel like I keep being rejected, and it may be the opposite, maybe people already really appreciate what I'm doing. And I just can't see it yet, right? Because as a content creator, one of your biggest fears is that it will never happen. And if you let that make you set aside your endeavor, well, then you didn't really want it. Or maybe you were lacking skill, the reason I'm skilled is because, I don't know, some things, I cannot say anything ever came easy to me, but I certainly tried hard. If you look at my content, how much I did to get to where I am, maybe now, a lot of stuff had to happen. And that's why I like that I recorded basically my entire journey. I just published books. Check, just raw thoughts, just threw the stuff out. And whether or not that will be appreciated remains to be seen, but I have a feeling it will be, and that's a strange place to talk from. Because people are trying to talk me out of it or tell me, I think you need a psychiatrist. And then I say, I already have the psychiatrist. It's love. Every time I feel fear and hate, I try to get back to the place where I love, where I'm looking forward to meeting, the woman that I love, and just see her again. It could be any day now. And it could be never. It could be 18 years. And then we see each other and I'm still like working like a slave, like a horse, like a dog, I don't know what. And then I see her married with someone else and having children. I mean, these things always exist. But whether or not they are real, because if I would believe them to be real, then I would look for another woman. But every time I find one, I say, no, I first want to see her again. And that's what I owe to myself, because she's the best thing that ever happened to me. But also the toughest. I mean, she was a real punch in the face. But, the image I got from her was, I don't know, I want to be better than I was. And it's like weird if you see yourself in someone else. Someone where you can really see this, wow, how beautiful. Not because she necessarily has to be beautiful, it's just so beautiful. And that's why I actually want to keep my teeth, which is why I'm still wondering, do I have to? I take great care of my teeth, don't get me wrong. But I have no experience with this. Chewing on cloves is certainly a good thing. Working with your anger. Relaxing your jaw. These things are really important as well. Because if you just remain silent all the time, it's just like I always feel like I'm dying on the inside. Which is why I'm so grateful. And I just said, believe me or not, I was just recording, I was just cleaning my apartment. Because I certainly thought, if somebody would come in here, whoever it is, it's definitely better if it looks clean. Because then I also feel safe in here. But if you think about it, I don't know. And that's, as close to the truth as I'll ever get, I think. And that's probably the most frustrating of all thoughts. It would be so nice to know. But every time you realize that you don't know, until you know again, and, from knowing again, you get back to realizing that you don't know again. And when you don't know again, you're going to hate it. Or you're going to love it and you're just going to see it as a riddle and you're just going to do something that liberates you from this feeling of, anger is often silent. And when you're really silent and I start poking you, you may start to scream. So I like to talk, if I'm with people that are anxious, that are in fear, I just keep the conversation open. I can keep talking for hours. I've talked people through 2-hour hikes through the night without light during a full moon. And they survived, but they would have never done it by themselves because they were like city people and we just met, by a law of attraction or coincidence or universal interaction or whatever. And, it just worked out. We never saw each other again, which is weird. Why do I never meet people again? There are certain people that I meet again, but most women I basically never meet again. And when I meet them again, I don't want to meet them again. Then the question is, okay, maybe that's this woman that I feel so connected with, that can feel, there's someone that wants me. Yeah, but what does that mean? So at the moment, what I really want to do is just be alone. And I think I owe it to myself to be alone. To isolate myself, to work on the book. To maybe engage with my family or go for a hike or go for a run. And just start slowly again. Because I really crashed. But this is something I've been going through already multiple times. Sometimes I go through a couple of weeks of insane and intense experiences and long nights and night hikes, and I'm just open about these things. Sometimes then maybe sessions, healing, therapy sessions with, just call them psychedelic substances, which are therapeutic. Don't get me wrong, they are absolutely therapeutic, but they're so intense because you feel so connected in one moment. That's just like having sex. And I really think a woman and a man that are in love with each other, and when they're ready, that's how you have to prepare yourself, that you really have to satisfy each other. And then you have to know, once we're together, pregnancy has to be an option, because you cannot have the same trust in a relationship if you keep using condoms. You have to take away the condom and then just let it happen. And that's scary. I mean, for me, that's really scary. And I was always kind of wobbly. I was sturdy, but I actually always liked to be on my own. But it also, I'm just starting to get bored, and that kind of annoys me. That time is just running away from me. Every time I want to just sit down and chill and read a book, it's just like, okay, I manage 5 sentences, and then, what else is there to do? Because I'm still here and I'm still alone. And it just sucks. I'm active. I want to be active. But instead of, playing with men, men are important. I really want to be with this woman. And that's just driving me insane. And whether or not by the time, anyone sees this, it already came to pass, is basically, yes, so I cannot jog at the moment. I would like to jog, but I don't think I have the energy. At the moment, what I really have to do is focus on my YouTube content, write books, or one book in particular at the moment. Just keep doing my art, just keep posting infrequently. I'm not sure if I should really post all the images always. And I have to try to keep track of my solutions, which is almost as important as keeping track of my mental health, and that's why there are people which I just have to say, hi to, goodbye to, possibly. But it scares me, and that's a very bad place to be in. If I feel afraid to let you go, then this is a very, very bad relationship. But you can just keep the heart connection. You can just keep the heart connection. But you never know, which is why for me, specifically, I still want to leave or be somewhere else, at least for certain times, and then do other things. And, that's the nice thing, that, if you know how to be a bit in like camouflage, which is hard because everything I have, like all the clothes that I have, are kind of like rebel material. And I'm too strong to just hide myself, I think. But, I have no idea how people see me. I just know how I see myself. I know there are insecurities. I know that, there's like all kinds of stuff happening. But I also realize that I'm still taking shape, and right now I'm back in form. So the question is, what happened? Why was I out of form? Well, because I was kind of reluctant to deal with myself, right? I was like postponing writing this book. I was postponing isolating myself, but I now realize that this is the only way for me. And the question remains to be whether I could ever live in a community. I think it would be nice, because then, imagine you'd have 20 people, you'd have 50 people, and we all hold the faith together because we believe in something together, that it is possible to heal. I'm just in this delicate position that I'm completely on my own with my fears. I cannot really talk to anyone about my fears because it just scares them more than it helps them. Which is why I think it's way better, because fear is really creeping into me. It's crazy. So I just have to do things that I need. And I'm really reluctant of people. It's strange, like really reluctant. But as soon as the camera's running, I feel much better. I'm just a different person. It's like, that for me is crazy. And then the question remains, who would ever watch that? Well, that remains to be seen. But to work on the internet is very tough. That's all I can say, right? There's like intense. The last couple of days were really windy, which is basically a very good representation of my emotional state. Am I causing the weather? Or is this just, waves of energy that are just like whoosh, flooding over us? And we all feel it, and some of us just, know how to give stability to others. Which is why they've been freed, of course. I don't want to say it's not like a secret agent, it's more like a, some people just have to keep the faith, all right? They just have to keep the faith, which is why, what problem would the state have with me? Because all I do is just phrase opinions that are certainly there. Phrasing doubts that even the people in the government may have, but doing so, as a solution. That's an intense line of reasoning, I get that. But that's simply how I have to be, because everything else would just be warmongering. And my thing is always, yeah, sure, I've got a knife, and I'm gonna leave it at home, if I go for a hike, I may take like a bread knife or something, but I'm not gonna walk around with a gun because I'm scared, because that's just gonna feed into it. So it's like a pact of non-violence. And the question is, why can I eat chicken then? Because I just had to accept that there are certain things that I need in order to keep what did I say now? Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to I'm just trying to understand things for myself. And I'm not sure, I think as a man, it would be my position to give stability to my own family, to my own wife and children. And that's then, I think, a good way to grow, to take responsibility, and to just move on. And that's a really tough one, because I'm not sure how afraid people really are and how willing they are to also hold on to the fear. Yeah. Thank you.